Good evening, guys. Welcome back. Please confirm, is my screen and my audio, my video, is everything clear for you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, that's clear.
Clear. Very
Yes.
good. Thank you. Thanks for confirmation, guys. And coming to our session, in the last session, we discussed about a couple of important points related to Docker, like what is a Docker, why Docker, what are the challenges we need to face if you don't use Docker in our project, and what are the benefits that we are going to get when we use Docker in our project, and how to set up this Docker in the Linux machine, and what is the Docker architecture. Okay. And the next one, we discussed about a couple of commands related to Docker, like Docker images command, Docker ps command, Docker pull command, Docker run command, Docker rm, Docker stop, Docker start, Docker rmi, Docker logs, Docker system prune command also we have used. And in the yesterday session, mainly we discussed about what is container in the detached mode and what is port publishing. Okay. So when we execute this Docker pull command, it is going to download the Docker image from the Docker hub. Then we need to execute the Docker run command to create the container based on the image. If you just run the container, that you can't access outside, because by default, Docker containers are isolated with the host machine. So that's why we need to run the Docker container in the detached mode along with the port mapping. So host port colon container port we are going to use. Once you do the port mapping, port publishing, then by using that host port number, we can access our application. Okay. In the AWS, we need to enable that port number in the security group inbound rules. In the yesterday class, we have seen how to execute Spring Boot application by using Docker image. And we have seen how to execute Python application by using Docker image. So 2 Docker images we executed, 2 containers created, and we have done the port mapping for the 2 containers in the host machine. For Java Spring Boot application, we used 9090 port number. For Python application, we used 5000 as a port number. So in the interview, they will ask a question, what is port mapping in the Docker? So whenever we run the Docker container, by default, it is isolated from the host machine. Okay, you can't access that container directly. Then you need to map that container port to the host machine port number. Then only we can access that application which is running in the container. Remember that point. Every container is a Linux virtual machine, guys. In our Linux machine, one more Linux virtual machine is getting created as a container. Okay, good. Fine. With this, we understood how to run the application by using existing Docker images. My images are already available in the Docker hub. Okay, that's fine. But now, how to create a Docker image for our application? How to create the Docker image for our application? For that, we need to write the Docker file for our project. How to write the Docker file? First of all, what is a Docker file? Docker file contains set of instructions to build a Docker image. What is the Docker file, guys? Docker file contains set of instructions to build a Docker image. Now, we are going to create a Docker file with a file name called Docker file. We no need to give any extension for this file, guys. Just we will keep the name as Docker file. No need to give any extension. Now, so how to write the content in the Docker file? Docker file content, what we need to write in the Docker file, it depends on your application. If it is a Java application and if it is Python application, Docker file is not going to be seen. So the Docker file depends on the technology of your application. So the technology stack you need to understand, then only you can write Docker file for the project. So what is the Docker file? What is the role of the Docker file? Docker file contains set of instructions to build a Docker image. Docker file contains a set of instructions to build the Docker image. Now, so writing the Docker file depends on the technology used to develop our application. So before that, to write the Docker file, there are set of keywords available. In order to write the Docker file, we are going to use several keywords, guys. What keywords we are going to use to write the Docker file? First one, there is a keyword called from keyword is available. And the second one, there is a keyword called maintainer keyword is available. Third one, there is a keyword called run. And the fourth one, CMD. Okay. And the fifth one, copy. And the next one, add keyword is also available. Then seventh one, work dir keyword is available. And eighth one, we are having expose. Ninth one, we are having entry point. Okay. So if you want to write a Docker file, then you need to, if you want to write the Docker file, then you need to, remember these keywords, guys. If you want to write the Docker file, then you need to remember these keywords. Are you guys clear?
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Are you guys clear with my point?
Yeah, clear, Ashok.
1 minute, guys. Some people are facing issue with the link. Yeah, good. So we are trying to understand what is Docker file and how to write a Docker file. So here, Docker file contains set of instructions to build the Docker image. Docker file contains set of instructions to build the Docker image. And to write the Docker file, we are going to use set of keywords. What keywords we are going to use? From keyword, maintainer keyword, run keyword, CMD keyword, copy, add, work dir, expose, entry point. Okay. If you understand what is the purpose of each keyword, then easily we can write the Docker file for our application. Okay, so we need to learn what is the purpose of each keyword that we are going to use in the Docker file. Then easily you can write the Docker file for your application. Okay, then first one is a from keyword. The first keyword is a from keyword, guys. What is the purpose of from keyword in the Docker file? Before that, are you guys clear? How many keywords we are going to discuss now? How many keywords we are going to discuss now, guys?
9 keywords.
9 keywords are available. What are those keywords? What is the first one? From. Second one, maintainer. Third one, run. Fourth one, CMD. Fifth one, copy. Sixth one, add. Seventh one, work dir, working directory. Eighth one, expose. Ninth one, entry point. So like this, there are 9 important keywords available. You need to know the purpose of each keyword. Then only you can create the Docker file for the project. If the Docker file is created, then only you can create the Docker image. If the Docker image is created, then only we can create the Docker container. Tomorrow, when we are going to work with Kubernetes also, Docker image is mandatory. So without Docker image, you can't work with the Kubernetes. So to create the Docker image, so first we need to have the Docker file. We need to know how to write this Docker file, guys. Good. So now let's understand these keywords one by one, guys. Let's understand these keywords one by one. First one is from keyword. What is the purpose of a from keyword? It is used to specify the base image which is required to run our application. Okay. So what is the purpose of from keyword? It is used to specify base image required to run our application. Base image required to run our application. So what software is required to run our application? For example, I want to run my application by using Java. My application is a Java application. So if it is a Java application, we need Java software to run our application. So I'm going to tell to Docker, hey Docker, I need Java software to run my application. So which is software is required to run our application, that we are going to specify by using from keyword. From openjdk:17. It is going to give me Java 17 version. So Docker is going to install Java 17 version in the container to run our application. Instead of we are installing the required softwares to run the application, we will tell to Docker which software is required to run our application. Okay, I'm going to use from keyword. What is the purpose of from keyword? It is used to specify base image required to run our application. Base image nothing but what is the main software that is required to run our application. So if it is a Java application, we need an OpenJDK image to run our application. Suppose if it is a Python application, I will say from Python 3.3, which is software, which version of the software you want that you can specify. Java 17 version I want. Python 3.3 version I want. For example, you want Tomcat server, then you can specify from Tomcat 9.0. Tomcat 9.0. Suppose, for example, you want a database, then what you can do, I will specify from MySQL, okay, from keyword and image name MySQL some 8.5. Suppose you want to run your Angular application or React application, then we will specify from Node 19.5 I want, something like this. Okay, so what is the base software that is required to run our application? We are going to specify that by using from keyword. From it is used to specify base image required to run our application. From image name, already Java software available as a Docker image. Python software available as a Docker image. These are the official Docker images we are downloading to run our application, to build our image. To create the Docker image for our application, we are going to take the public official Docker images. Whatever the softwares that we need to run our application, for those softwares, official images are already available. From keyword that is used to specify base image required to run our application. Then next one, second keyword is a maintainer keyword. What is the purpose of this maintainer keyword? It is used to specify who is the author of the Docker file. That means who created this Docker file, who modified this Docker file, we can specify by using maintainer. So this keyword is optional in the Docker file. It is not mandatory. Okay. This is from is mandatory. This is optional in the Docker file. This is optional in Docker file. If you don't write also no problem. But from keyword is mandatory. Maintainer keyword is not mandatory. Maintainer keyword is going to tell you in our team who created this Docker file or in our team who modified this Docker file. Maintainer is Ashok and this is my email ID or my employee ID I can specify. So our team members should be able to identify who developed this Docker file, who modified this Docker file in our project. Okay, from keyword is used to specify base image required to run our application. Maintainer keyword is used to specify who is the author of our Docker file. Who is the author of our Docker file? Are you clear with my point now? Next one, there is a keyword called run keyword is available. There is a keyword called run keyword is available. What is the purpose of run keyword? So run keyword is used to execute some commands when the Docker image is created. It is used to specify instructions. Whenever my Docker image is creating, already I have Docker file. With this Docker file, I'm creating the Docker image. When the Docker image is creating, I want to execute some commands. For example, I want to download the code from the GitHub. I want to compile my code by using Maven. Any operation that you want to perform at the time of image creation, then you can do that by using run. Run keyword is used to specify instructions to execute at the time of Docker image creation. What we can specify, guys, at the time of Docker image creation? What we will specify by using run? if you want to download the code from the GitHub, okay, or you want to package your code, okay, you want to compile your code and you want to package your code. Such kind of operations we can perform by using this run. Basically to execute some Linux commands. Docker is related to complete Linux, right? Whenever the image is creating, if you want to execute some Linux commands, then you can use this run. Run keyword is used to specify instructions, nothing but commands to execute. Commands to execute at the time of Docker image creation. What we can specify by using run keyword, run. I'm going to specify git to clone repo URL. So clone my repository to create the Docker image and do the maven package for my application. Okay, mvn clean package like this. We can do execution of some commands when the Docker image is getting created by using this run keyword. So when you use run keyword, multiple run keywords also you can specify in the Docker file. All those keywords, all those run instructions will be executed in the sequential manner. Okay, I have a Docker file. In the Docker file, I'm giving the instruction from keyword. It is used to specify what is the base image, what is the main software that is required to run our application. So that Docker will download that software. What is the maintainer? It is used to specify who is the author of the Docker file. Then next one, run keyword is available. What is the purpose of run keyword in the Docker file? So whenever our Docker image is getting created, I want to download the code. My project code is available in the GitHub. I want to download the code from the GitHub, or I want to package my project. Okay, any operation that you want to perform when image is creating, then you can do that operation by using run instruction. Run keyword is used to specify instructions to execute at the time of image creation. Are you clear with my point? Then next one, CMD keyword is available. What is the purpose of CMD keyword? Okay, what is the CMD? CMD keyword is used to specify instructions to execute when the container is creating. Run means image creation time. CMD means container creation time. So what is the purpose of CMD keyword in the Docker file? CMD keyword is used to specify the instructions which are required to execute at the time of container creation. Generally, CMD is used to execute our application inside the container. For example, I have my Java application, Java space -jar space app.jar. So this is the procedure to run the Java project. Okay, so when the container is creating, inside the container, I need to tell to the Docker to run my application. I should tell to the Docker to run my application inside the container. For that, what I will do? CMD, Java space -jar space jar file name. So if suppose if you are having a Python application, CMD, I'm going to specify Python app.py. Python app.py. So run instructions are going to execute at the time of image creation, whereas CMD keyword is used to specify the instructions which are required to execute at the time of container creation. You see, image creation, container creation. Image creation time, run keyword will execute. Generally, the use case to download the code, to package the code, we can go for run. When the image is created, container will be created by using that image. When the container is creating, I need to run my application inside the container. Docker will not run your application directly in the container. You need to tell to Docker how to run your application in the container. How we will tell to Docker to run our application in the container? That's where we are going to use a keyword called CMD keyword. CMD keyword is used to specify the instructions we need to execute at the time of container creation. Generally, application execution process we will do by using CMD. Okay, and here guys, remember, in the Docker file, if you write multiple run instructions, Docker will execute all these instructions in the sequential order. But if you write multiple CMD instructions in the Docker file, there is no use. It is going to execute only the last CMD instruction. Even if you create a Docker file with multiple CMD instructions, there is no use of that, because Docker is going to execute only the last CMD instruction. It is going to execute only last CMD instruction. Okay, so we discussed about 4 keywords, guys. What are those 4 keywords? First one is the from keyword. Second one is the maintainer keyword. Third one is the run. Fourth one is CMD. Can anyone tell me what is the purpose of a from keyword? Can anyone tell me what is the purpose of from keyword in the Docker file?
It is a base image to run the application.
It is used to specify the base image to run our application. What is the meaning of a base image? The main software that is required for our application. Java, Python, .NET, Node, database, or whatever, Tomcat server. What is the base software that is required to run your application? You can download by using from keyword. If you specify from Java, then Docker will download Java software to run your application. If you specify from Python, Docker will download the Python software to run your application. Okay, then what is maintainer keyword, guys?
Author of the Docker file.
To specify who is the author of this file in the project. So in our DevOps team, 10 people, 15 people will be available. Who created this Docker file or who modified this Docker file? To understand that, we are going to use maintainer keyword. Next one, run keyword. What is the purpose of run keyword in the Docker file?
Instruction command at the Docker image.
What is the purpose of run keyword in the Docker file?
It is used to execute the commands, Linux
at the
commands.
time of a Docker image.
Which is used to
Docker
specify
image.
any instruction that you want to execute when the Docker image is creating. So generally, what instructions we will execute when the image is creating? I want to download my code from the GitHub. I want to build my code by using Maven. I want to build my code by using Gradle. So such kind of operations can be done by using run. Can we execute multiple run instructions by using Docker file, guys? Is it possible?
Yes.
Is the Docker is going to execute multiple run instructions, or it will execute only one run instruction?
Yeah, it will execute but sequential order.
Yes, it is going to execute multiple run instructions in the sequential order. It is going to execute in the sequential order. Okay, guys. Then next one. What is the purpose of CMD keyword in the Docker file?
It will create one
Command.
instruction.
Specify the
Command.
instruction
Image.
at the time of execution of a container creation.
Container creation.
CMD that is used to execute any instruction when the container is creating. When the Docker container is creating, if you want to execute any instruction, then we will do that by using CMD. Okay,
Yeah.
so if you write multiple CMD instructions in the Docker file, then what is going to happen?
It will take the last one.
If you write multiple CMD instructions also, there is no use. It will take only last CMD instruction. Okay, and the next one, there is a keyword called copy. So generally, copy means you already know. It is used to copy the files from one location to another location. So copy instruction is used to copy the files from source to destination. Okay, so anything, any file that you want to copy from your host machine to the container machine. What is the meaning of a host machine, guys? Can you guys tell me what is the meaning of a host machine?
AWS Linux machine.
Where your Docker software is available. That can be a Linux machine, that can be a Windows machine also. Docker can be installed on the Windows, Docker can be installed on the Linux also. Now I have some file in the host machine. I want to copy my file into container machine. So by using copy keyword, we can copy the files from host machine to container machine. Host machine means our computer where we installed Docker. Container means a virtual machine will be created by the Docker. Okay. So what is the purpose of copy? Copy is used to copy the files. It can be application jar file, or it can be application war file. It can be Python project files, anything. Generally, the application jar files, war files will copy from our host machine to container machine. It is used to copy application code from host machine to container machine. So source to destination. What is our source generally? Source is our host machine. What is the destination? Destination is a container machine. How we are going to copy this, guys? Example. Now copy. I have my Maven project. When we compile our Maven project now, then target folder will be created. In the target folder, jar file is available. I want to copy that jar file into Linux machine. Okay, so this is the path of the file in the host machine. This is the path in the container machine. Container is also a Linux machine. In the Linux machine, in the user app directory, I want to copy this jar file. So in my host machine, in this location, my jar file, my project jar file is available. I want to copy the jar file to this location. Or suppose if you are having a war file, inside the project target folder, our application war file will be available. I want to copy that war file into user bin, something like Tomcat, something like web apps. So this is the location. This is the location of the container machine. In the container machine, Tomcat server will be available. In the Tomcat server, web apps folder, in that I want to copy the war file. War file is available in my host machine. I want to copy the war file into Tomcat server, which is available in the container machine. Who will install the Tomcat in the container? From keyword. By using this from keyword, I am going to specify I need a Tomcat. Then inside the container, Tomcat software will be installed. In that Tomcat software, our application war file will be copied. Suppose if you are having Python application, Python project code is available, app.py. Python application file is available, which is app.py. Now I want to copy this file into Linux machine, that is a container machine, inside the user, inside the app. Now our project Python file will be copied into this location. Like this, if you want to copy any file or application file, anything from host machine to container machine, we are going to use a keyword called copy. Okay, then similar to the copy, there is a add keyword also. Similar to the copy, there is a add keyword also. Sir, add is also used to copy the files from source to destination. That means from host machine to container machine. If you want to copy the files, there is another keyword called add keyword is also available. Are you able to understand what is the purpose of copy keyword in the Docker file? Guys, what is the purpose of copy keyword in the Docker file?
It will copy the war files from local machine to container.
If it is used to copy the any file from our host machine to container machine, then what is the purpose of add keyword?
Same functionality.
What is the purpose of add keyword? Same functionality. So this is also used to copy from source to destination. Sir, then what is the difference between copy and add? What is the difference between copy and add? Okay, so copy is used to copy the files from only host machine to destination. Whereas when you go for the add, it is not only to copy from the host machine to container, even add keyword if you use, it can download the file from the given URL and it can copy that file to the host machine. Copy means only from your local file system, it can copy the file to container machine. Whereas add keyword, not only local file, even if the file is in the internet also, it can download and it can copy to the host machine. So that is the difference. Copy will support for only local files. Whereas add keyword, it can take the source as a URL also. It can take the URL, it can download the file from the URL and it can copy that to the destination. Can you guys tell me what is the difference between copy and add keywords? Guys, can you tell me what is the difference between copy and add keywords?
Copy means is just copy from host machine to container. Add keyword from it will also same functionality, but it will extract from it will works as a wget.
Right. So copy keyword only to copy the files from our local machine to container machine. Whereas the add keyword can copy from the local as well as it can download from the internet also. That is the only difference. Okay. And the next one, there is another keyword available, which is
What
called.
about jar files or tar files? It will also extract that.
Yes, sir, you can do that. Yes. Next one, work dir keyword is available. Work dir. What is the purpose of this work dir? It is used to navigate from one directory to another directory. Okay. Work dir instruction is used to set the, or it is used to set or change a working directory in the container machine. Okay. For example, so if you see, I am copying our project jar file from local machine to user app directory. Now I want to execute that jar file. So currently jar file is available in my local machine, but where that jar should be available for the execution? Currently in my system that jar file is available, but where we should keep that jar file now?
Container.
In the container. So how to copy the jar file from our local machine to container machine?
Copy keyword.
Copy keyword we are using. In the container machine, in which location that jar file is available? User app directory. Now to execute this jar file, I should go to this directory. That's where we are going to use a keyword called workdir/user/app. That means we are navigating to that particular location in the container machine. Then after we are going to execute the CMD Java space -jar space app.jar. Okay. Are you clear with my, suppose it is Spring Boot application.jar, then Spring Boot app.jar. So this is the path in the container. The jar file is available in my local system. From my local system, I'm copying the jar file to container machine. Now to execute the jar file, I should go to the location where the jar is available. That's where we are using a command called workdir, nothing but working directory, which is used to change the location. Once we change the location, then we can use the CMD and we can execute that jar file. CMD will execute when the container is creating. Generally, we will use the CMD to run our application in the container. What is the difference between run keyword and CMD keyword? Very famous interview question. What is the difference between run keyword and CMD keyword, guys?
So run, it will create specify instruction at the time of Docker image creation.
Run keyword is used to execute the instruction when the image is created. Okay. CMD keyword is used to execute the instruction when the container is created. Are you clear with my point now?
Yeah.
Good. Next one. Now, what is the purpose of copy keyword and add keyword, guys? What is the purpose of copy keyword and add keyword?
With copy, we can copy the file from container machine to host machine.
With copy, we can copy the files from our local machine to container machine. What we can do with the add keyword?
From add keyword, we can copy the files from source to destination.
Yes,
and
it is
from
used to
URL.
copy the files from source to destination. Source can be internet file also. You can give the URL also for the add. Then, what is the purpose of workdir? What is the purpose of workdir?
Changing the directory from one directory to another.
Like
CD command.
Working directory will take the container path.
Executive file for the CMD to run.
Right. It is used to go for the location where our file is available for the execution. Workdir is basically CD, change directory. I want to go to the particular directory. For that, we will use a keyword called workdir. And the next one, there is expose keyword is available. There is a expose keyword is available. It is used to specify our application is running on which port number, because somebody writing the Docker file, okay, but I want to create the container. When I am creating a container, I need to do the port mapping. So how I will know the port number of the container? That's where in the Docker file, we are going to use one keyword called expose keyword. What is the purpose of expose keyword? Expose is just to specify application running on which port number. Okay. Now, if I am going to use the expose like this example, in the Docker file, I will specify expose 9090. What is the meaning? What is the meaning? Expose 9090.
The port number from where
our application will run on 9090 port number.
So it is, guys, remember one point. It is just to give the information application running on which port number. Suppose if I change this expose from 9090 to 8080, application port number will change or application port number will not change?
Not change.
No, it is not going to change. It is just to give the information. By using expose, we can't change the port number of the application. It is just to provide the information. That's it, guys. By using expose keyword, we can't change application port number. It is just to provide information for the people who are reading our Docker file. Okay, I'm writing the Docker file. I know the port number, but you don't know the port number. Then that's where I'm going to give the information for you. My application will use which port number. So expose instruction is used to specify application is running on which port number. By using expose keyword, we cannot change the application port number. It is not to change the port number. It is just to tell you which port number application is using.
So basically this expose like it is related to host machine or container machine?
Container port number.
So that container like application means developer will write, right?
Nowadays, Docker files are creating by developers only. They will specify the port number. When you look at the Docker file, then you can easily understand, okay, this application is using 8080 port number.
Okay, basically it's like a container port only.
Yes, container port. Expose keyword is used to specify application running on which port number. Application port number means container port number.
Can't we mention like both in expose like host port plus container port?
Sir, host port, how you will specify, sir? Host port is my choice, right? I can give anything.
Sir,
Okay, by looking at that, they can understand, right? For example, 880
there is no keyword for that, sir. There is no keyword. Just if you want, you can expose keyword, you can write. So whatever you want, 8080:8080, then people may understand, but generally we will give one port number here. That is a container port. Host port number is your choice. Whatever you want, you can map it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, fine, guys. So what is the purpose of expose keyword here? What is the purpose of expose keyword here?
On which port our application is running?
Application port.
It is just to specify. On which port number our application is running. Okay. Can I change the port number of the application by using expose keyword? Or I can't change the port number of the application by using expose keyword?
We can't
change. It is just to provide the information. Okay. Next, the last keyword that we should learn in the Docker file, that is entry point. The last keyword that we should learn in the Docker file, that is called entry point. So this is used to execute the instruction when the container is creating. Okay. Already we discussed about CMD. CMD is used to execute the instruction at the time of container creation. Same way, entry point also for the same thing. It is used to execute instruction when container is getting created. Here, entry point is used as a alternate for the CMD. Okay, what is the purpose of entry point, guys? Entry point we are going to use as alternate for the CMD. Okay, if you are using CMD, how you will run your application? CMD, my application is Java-jar app.jar. Same thing if you want to run by using entry point. Entry point, we are going to specify first argument is Java and second argument is -jar and third argument is app.jar. That file I want to run. Whatever that we are doing by using CMD, same thing we are going to do by using entry point also. Both are used to execute instruction when the container is creating. Generally, we will use CMD and entry point to run our applications. CMD and entry point we are going to use in order to run our application. Sir, then what is the difference between CMD and entry point? When the CMD is already available, then why entry point came into picture? This is very, very, very important interview question. Already we have the CMD instructions now. Then why should we go for the entry point? What is the difference between CMD and entry point? So here whenever you write the CMD in the Docker file, at the time of container creation, we can overwrite. Okay, so here CMD instruction we can override while creating Docker container. While creating Docker container, we can override the CMD instructions, whereas entry point instructions, we can't override. Whatever you specify in the file, that is fixed, guys. So whatever CMD instruction you are writing in the Docker file, when I am creating a container, so instead of that CMD available in the Docker file, I can execute my own CMD. So CMD instructions can be override. We can override the instruction when the container creating. Whereas entry point instruction, we cannot override when the container is created. Okay, suppose if you want to change the CMD in the future, if you want to change the instruction in the future, when the container creating, then keep CMD, then override it. Suppose I don't want anybody to override my instruction. Whatever I write, that should be final to run the application. Then go for entry point. CMD instructions we can override while container creating, whereas entry point instructions we cannot override while creating the containers. So that is the difference between CMD and entry point keywords in the Docker file. Are you clear with my point? Are you guys clear with my point?
Yes.
So command, you have provided a command syntax, right? Command space quote, double quote. What is a Java that is application name?
Sir, this is a command, sir, Java related command. In the coming classes, you will understand what is this. It is a syntax related to Java to run the Java application.
Okay.
Java project will be available as a jar file. In
Okay.
order to run that jar file, this is the Java syntax we need to follow.
Sir, ఇక్కడ CMD ఎప్పుడు వాడాలి, ఎంట్రీ పాయింట్ ఎప్పుడు వాడాలని తెలుస్తుంది ఇప్పుడు మనకి.
So if you want to override your instruction in the future, whatever that you are writing in the Docker file, in future, if you want to override, go for CMD. If you don't want to override in the future, then go for entry point.
సో లేటర్ ఆల్సో మనం క్రియేట్ చేసిన తర్వాత మనం మాడిఫై చేయొచ్చు డాకర్ ఫైల్.
Yes.
ఓకే.
So మీరు ఎందుకనండి క్యాపిటల్ లెటర్స్ ఇస్తున్నారు ఎంట్రీ పాయింట్? సో దట్ ఈస్ we have to follow.
Yes, so that is the syntax of the Docker file. All the Docker file keywords will be uppercase letters.
Uppercase. Okay. Clear.
Sir, is there any possibility to get the files from container to host machine?
No, you can't get like that. And if you want to do that, some volumes concept is available, but Docker volumes are outdated concept. Currently, we are using Kubernetes volumes. Docker volumes we are not using. In the Docker, there are other keywords like user keyword, volume keywords available, but we don't use them. They are already outdated.
Okay, sir. So only host to container is possible,
Yes,
right?
right.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Ashok, we can able to list the all the container files from the host machine.
All the container
Files, okay. What are
yes,
there
sir.
in the
You can.
container?
I told you that, right? Container is a Linux machine. From host machine, we can go inside the container Linux machine. Also, we can see the Linux file system. Everything I will show you. So that is called inspection of the container. That is already part of our syllabus.
Okay, thank you.
I am telling you, container is a Linux machine. Why confidently I am telling that container is a Linux machine? We can go inside the container and we can see that machine. We can see the file system of that machine. That is a pure Linux machine.
Okay.
Okay. How to go inside the container machine? That is, there are some commands available for that. exec command is available for that. Docker exec command we can use. Docker execute command. With that, you can go inside the container and you can see the files also.
Okay, thank you.
Good. Fine, guys. So with this, we got the clarity on what is Docker file and what all the important keywords that are available in order to write the Docker file. So can anyone tell me what is a Docker file and why we need to write the Docker file and what keywords available to write the Docker file? What is the Docker file, guys? Come on, respond. What is Docker file?
Docker file contains set of instructions to build Docker.
Docker file contains a set of instructions to build the Docker image. What should be the name of the file? Default name is Docker file. You can give any name for that file, guys. You can give any name for that file, but general standard file people will use as Docker file. What keywords available to write the Docker file? Can someone read out the keywords and tell me the purpose of the keywords?
It's a from. It's a user to for the what are the softwares are to require for our application.
Base image.
Yeah.
Yes.
To run
From
our
is used to
application.
specify the base image.
Base
Which
image.
software is used to run our application? Which software is required to run our application?
Our application.
We are
Yeah.
telling to Docker to download that software by using from keyword.
Sir,
Okay.
sir,
The
here I
next
have
one.
one question, sir. Even from.
Yeah.
If I want to install multiple softwares.
Yes, sir. You can write from keyword multiple times, no problem.
I mean, okay, got it. I mean Java and database.
Yes, sir. Java I want, MySQL I want. Both softwares you can specify by using from keyword 2 times.
Thank you, sir.
Next up, maintainer. What is the purpose of
Author.
maintainer keyword?
Please specify the author of a Docker file.
That is used to specify the author of the Docker file. Is it mandatory to write the maintainer?
No.
Optional.
No, it's not a mandatory.
All these keywords are not mandatory, guys. They are optional. If you want, then only you can use them. If you don't want, you can skip them. It's not mandatory to write all the keywords in the Docker file. No. If it is really required, then only you need to write it. Next up, run. What is the purpose of run keyword?
So we have to specify
Used to execute the instructions when image is getting created.
Right. Whenever the Docker image is creating, if you want to execute any command, any instruction, go for run. Generally, downloading the code from the GitHub, packaging the project code, that kind of operations can be done by using run. Then what is the CMD?
Specify the instruction while creating the container creation.
Right. It is used to specify the instruction when the container creating. What kind of instructions will execute when the container creating? Application execution. Inside the container, application execution we will do by using CMD. What is alternate for the CMD?
Entry point.
Entry point. What is the difference between CMD and entry point?
CMD we can't overwrite. Entry point we can overwrite.
You are reverse, man.
No, entry point.
We can
We can't override in entry point.
Entry point we can't override.
CMD we cannot. CMD we can override, whereas entry point we cannot override. Okay, good. So copy keyword and add keyword. What is the purpose of them?
Copy, simply it will copies. Add means it's like it will extract the from.
Copy means it is simply used
copy
to copy
from
the files from
host machine to container.
Host machine to your container. It is simply used to copy the files from host machine to container machine. Add keyword. It will extract. Download the file from the internet and it can copy to the container. Then what is work dir?
Here we have to
container execution.
Container machine.
Container machine execution path.
Work dir is used to specify the location. Okay, you want to navigate to which location in the container, that you can specify by using work dir. It is simply cd command. Then what is expose keyword?
Application port number.
Application port number.
Expose keyword is basically used to specify application port number. Can I change the application port number by using expose?
No,
we can't.
No.
Then what is the purpose of this expose?
Just to understand, like which port number our application is running.
It is used to
provide the information on which port number your application is running. It is just to give the information. It is not to change the port number. It is not to change the port number. It is just to provide the information regarding your container port. Container port, application port, both are same. Okay. Now I am trying to log into my AWS cloud. Let me take my Docker system. My Docker machine is already available in the cloud. Let me log in and let me try to create one simple Docker file and let me try to create the Docker image also.
Sir, one small doubt, sir. So all these keywords will be like using to create the Docker file in the host machine or in the container machine, sir?
Always Docker file will be available in the host machine only, not in the container machine. Generally in the project folder only we will keep the Docker file. Yeah. Now, where is my Docker server? Yeah. So this is my Docker server. Let me take it. Start the instance. I stopped this machine. Okay, every day after class is completing, I'm stopping my machine. Now I am connecting back to this machine by using git bash. Git bash I'm using as SSH client software. Let's go to the dashboard and check the machines which are in the running state. instances running. Yeah. So my machine is started. Let's connect with this machine. Click on connect option. SSH client I'm using and connect. Yes, are you sure you want to connect? Yes, boss, I want to connect. Yeah, successfully I connected with my machine. Now let me delete everything available in my Docker system by using Docker system prune-a. What is the meaning of prune-a, guys?
It deletes everything, including all
Right.
dependent.
All the stopped containers, all the unused images, almost 1 GB space it reclaimed. Almost 1 GB space it reclaimed. So I deleted all the stopped containers, unused images from my system. Now, if you check it in my system, Docker images, nothing available. Docker PS, no containers in the running state. Docker PS -a, no stopped containers also. Washing powder, Nirma, everything is clean. Okay. So what command we use to clean everything, guys?
Prune command.
Docker system prune-a.
Docker system prune-a.
A.
So delete everything which is not in use. Delete everything which is not in use. That is the meaning of that. Okay. Now ls-l. So in my current working directory, currently I'm pointing to /home/ec2 user. In this directory, is there any file available currently? Is there any file available currently, or there is no file available currently?
No
file.
files are available.
No file is available. Now, let me create file with a name called vi docker file. This is the standard name that people will use for the docker file, but not mandatory to use the same name. You can change also, no problem. But this is the standard name that people are going to use to write the docker file. Vi docker file. Open. Vi means edit. Now, let's write the docker file content. I'm going to write first from keyword. Okay. So here I don't need any software. Just I'm specifying from Ubuntu. I want to take container machine as a Ubuntu machine from Ubuntu. Then in that from Ubuntu means in the container it will take Ubuntu OS. Then next, if you want, you can specify maintainer. So who is the author of this file? Ashok. Then next, some sample keywords I will use now. Run keyword I am going to use now. First run keyword I am going to use here. Run instruction 1. Okay. Then similarly, let me write another run instruction. Run instruction 2. 2 run instructions I am writing. Dummy commands I am using now. CMD. So in the CMD I am writing here CMD instruction 1. CMD instruction 1. And I am writing another one CMD instruction 2. CMD instruction 1 and a CMD instruction 2 I am using. So just to show you what is the difference between run keyword and CMD keyword. From keyword I am using, maintainer I am using, run I am using 2 times, CMD I am using 2 times. Run 2 times will execute. 2 instructions both will execute. But CMD, both CMD will execute or only last CMD will execute?
Last CMD.
Last CMD.
2 CMDs will be executed or only last CMD will be executed?
Only the
Last CMD will be executed. Okay, now let me save this file. :wq, write and quit. My file is saved. Cat docker file. Now I have the content in the docker file. So with this first time, I created my own docker file in my system. Now by using this docker file, I want to build my docker image. Okay, so yesterday we created the container by using already existing images. Now I want to create my own image by using my docker file. How to create a docker image by using docker file? By using a command docker build -t, docker build -t tag name. What is the name you want to give for your image? Okay, I'm going to give this as Ashok IT image 1. I'm giving this name as Ashok IT image 1. You can give any name for the image. Here, docker build -t image tag name space. Where is your Docker file? My Docker file is available in the current directory dot. So in the current directory, it will check for the Docker file. So this is the command which is used to create a Docker image based on our Docker file. Docker build -t Ashok IT image1. Before executing this command, let me show you Docker images command. In my system, is there any Docker image available? In my system, Docker image is not available.
Not available.
Image available or not available? Not available.
Not available.
Okay. So then what I'm going to do? Docker build -t image name. You can give anything. Ashok IT image1 space dot. What is the meaning of dot?
Current directory.
We are telling to the Docker build command where is the Docker file in our system. Docker file is available in the current directory. Execute it. Yes. So now our Docker file is used in order to create the Docker image. Run instruction 1. Failed to solve this instruction, did not complete successfully. That is failed. Okay. Any mistake we have done? Oh, okay. There is some syntax mistake, guys. vi Docker file. Yeah, there is a syntax mistake here. Directly these commands will not print the messages. Run command we use to execute Linux commands, right? So to print a message, we need to specify echo. Echo is used to print the message. I'm executing the echo command by using run and cmd. I forgot to mention this echo keyword. Okay, run echo, cmd echo. Echo is used to print a message. So this is a Linux message, Linux command. How to execute this Linux command? When the container is creating cmd. How to execute this command? When the image creating run keyword. Okay, run echo message. So this is Linux command. To execute this Linux command when the image creating, I'm using run keyword. Okay, now save this file. Good. Let's execute it. Docker build -t image namespace dot. Okay. Now image got created. Can you see here run instructions both executed? Can you see here both run instructions got executed? Yes or no?
Yes.
Both instructions are executed or both instructions not executed?
Both are executed.
Both are executed. So as of now, just I created the image. When the image is created, run instructions will execute. If you write 10 instructions by using run, all the 10 will execute in the sequential order. Now you see, with this command, I am able to create my Docker image. Now let me verify Docker images. Now can you see my Docker image is available or not? Can you see my Docker image available or not? Yes.
It's
What's the Docker image available now? What is the Docker image available now?
Ashok IT image.
Ashok IT
AIT
image
image
1
1.
is available. AIT image 1 is available. Now, once the Docker image is available, can we run the image and can we create the container with that image now?
Yes.
Yes. What is the command to run the image?
Docker image. Docker run, sorry.
Docker run image name. Docker run image name. So when I execute Docker run image name, what will happen? Container will be created. Okay. When the container is created, CMDs will be executed. Now see, both CMDs executed are only last CMD executed. Both CMDs executed are only last CMD executed.
Last one.
And when the run is executing and when the CMD is executing.
While creating the image, run is executing.
Run executing while creating the container.
When the image is creating, run keyword is executed, and when the CMD is executed, when the container is created. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Now you can see Docker images. My image is available. Can we delete this image now?
Yes, we can.
How to
we can
delete?
stop. We can stop that and we can delete.
Container already stopped. It is a very basic container, right? If you see Docker PS, container is not running. PS-A, container already stopped. Okay. Now I want to delete my image and I want to create again. How can we do that?
RMI.
Docker RMI.
Docker RMI image name or image ID. Anything is fine. Okay. Docker RMI image name. Unable to delete, which is using by stopped container. My image is already using by stopped container, must be forced. Okay. Must be forced means Docker Docker RMI
-F.
-F RMI, not -F. Forcefully we need to delete. Docker RMI -F image ID. Yes, forcefully I have deleted my image. Even if it is using by stopped container, I'm deleting forcefully by using -F. Now, Docker images, no image available, but we have Docker file. Can we build the image now? Can we build the image now? What is the command to build the image now?
Yes, we can Docker build minus
Docker build.
Docker
build
-T.
Docker build
Image name.
any name you can give.
Image
Okay?
name.
Test1 space dot. What is the image name I am giving now?
Test1.
Space dot. Now execute. Now image is creating. So when the image is creating, run instructions are executed. Both are executed. Now, if you see here, Docker images, now you can see test image is created. How to run this test image now? To run the test image, we can go for Docker run image ID. Guys, 1 minute. Somebody is knocking my door. Yeah. All right, guys. Good. So with this, we are able to see what are the Docker images available, and we are able to create the container by using our Docker image. Are you guys clear with my point?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So now what I have done, we discussed about what are the Docker file keywords available. We discussed about what are the Docker file keywords available. And we created one very basic Docker file, that is very sample Docker file we created. And this is the sample content I kept in the Docker file. Okay. Then how created the image by using the Docker file? I saved the Docker file in my system and I executed a command, Docker build -T image name. Then how to run that image based on the image name. Run the Docker image to create the Docker container. So like this, we are going to write the Docker file. With the Docker file, we will create the Docker image. And with the Docker image, we are going to create the Docker container. This is just for understanding, just echo commands I have executed. So tomorrow, I'm going to show you how to write the Docker file for Java application, how to write the Docker file for the Python application, how to write the Docker file for Angular React also. You understand my point?
Yeah. Sir, before that,
write the Docker files, you need to remember all these keywords. If you don't know the purpose of these keywords, then you cannot write the Docker file. So today we understood what is the purpose of each keyword, and we have seen how to create one dummy Docker file with run and cmd echo messages, and with that file, how to create the image, with that image, how to create the container. Tomorrow, we are going to understand how to write Tomorrow we'll understand how to write the real Docker files for Java and Python applications.
Ashok garu ఇప్పుడు లాస్ట్ దానికి ఉంది కదా దీన్ని పోర్ట్ అసైన్ చేస్తే మనం వెబ్సైట్లో యాక్సెస్ చేస్తే ఏమొస్తుందంటారు?
No sir, this application you can't access. This is very standalone application just to print the messages. Okay. If it is a web application, then only port mapping, then you can access. Tomorrow I will show you.
Sir, from moving to before moving to, we need to go to VI and we need to give some Docker file name.
Right, sir. Correct.
In that we need to give these instructions, you are saying.
Correct. So we need to create the file. In that file, we need to write these things.
Okay.
సో అశోక్ మనం డాకర్ రన్ కమాండ్ ఇచ్చాం, కంటైనర్ క్రియేట్ అయింది. ఇన్ కంటైనర్ ఉబుంటు ఓఎస్ క్రియేట్ ఉంటుంది కదండి.
అవునండి.
ఓకే.
So -t means
tag name.
Okay. And sir, you telling like for expose like some container running in some port like 8080 and hosting exposing in 9090. So application how we can use, which port we have to use, sir?
Sir, that is tomorrow I will tell you, sir. For every technology there is some standard port number available. For Java 8080 is the standard. Okay. For Angular 4200 is the standard. For React 3000 is the standard. Like that, for every technology, some standards available.
Okay, so application which port have to access, like expose or inbuild port?
You know, we can decide that, sir. In the coding, we can decide that. In the programming, we can change it also.
Sir, here is
okay. Please give example, sir.
Sorry.
Anyone?
Hello, sir.
Yeah, hi.
Sir, you have given the -t is a tag name, right? Correct. And img-1 is just an image name, right?
Just a name. This is the tag name, sir. This is the name. To represent this is a tag name, I am giving -t. Tag name and image name, both are same.
Okay. -t, it's a tag name. Like we can, it's representing the img-1. It's a name, image name, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Docker logs container ID also shows the port number, right?
Yeah, for this application, it won't show you because it is very standalone, just printing the message, na? It won't show you that.
Okay, so we need to use expose here, right?
You need to specify expose. This image not creating any server to run the application. This is just basic, just to print the message. For this port mapping and all not required.
Okay.
Also, Shagar, మీరు ఫ్రమ్ ఉబంటు తీసుకున్నారు కదా, అది మన కంటైనర్ రన్ అవుతుంది కదా, మన హోస్ట్ మెషిన్ కంటైనర్. సో అక్కడ ఓఎస్ ఏమి యూస్ చేస్తుందంటారు? అంటే హోస్ట్ మెషిన్.
When I say from Ubuntu, that means it will take Ubuntu OS.
Ubuntu OS, కానీ అది ఎక్కడ రన్ అవుతుందండి? అంటే కంటైనర్ రన్ అవుతుంది, కంటైనర్ బేస్ ఓఎస్ ఏమవుతుంది? So as it is taking from host machine, or
container is a Linux machine. That container is using Ubuntu OS, Linux Ubuntu.
So there are two different OS. Like container itself is having own OS.
Host machine is having one OS. Container is having its own OS.
So in container we can run Windows also. So it's like
you
separate.
can change that, but generally we don't do that, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Sir, whenever we give expose 9090 like with the port number, so what happens, sir, when we don't give the expose while creating the Docker?
Nothing will happen. It is just to provide the information only. This is optional.
Okay, sir. If we don't provide this, then we'll not be able to see this 8080 port number during the execution of the container, right?
Not like that, madam. There is no relation. It is just to provide the information. If you don't mention also, no problem.
To whom we are providing the information, sir?
Somebody who is reading your Docker file.
Okay.
Tomorrow, I'm writing the Docker file, but you need to create the container. You should understand the port number of the application, right? Generally, developers will decide the port number for the application. So as a DevOps engineer, we should know the port number. That's why they will keep that by using expose.
Okay.
We can get this number by logs, right? Docker logs.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you mentioned.
If it is a web application, then you can see.
If not,
then they have to specify in the expose.
Okay.
Then only you'll understand. Otherwise, you can't understand.
Thank you.
Then build application.
Okay.
Hi, sir.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Sir, it means how we can set the environment variables, sir, in Docker file, and how we can read.
Environment variables, nothing but?
For example, it means this thing, sir, database it means credentials, something like that.
Database credentials you want to set for the Docker file.
Yes, sir.
env. By using
Yes.
-env property, you can send them. Environment
Okay.
properties. Yes.
Environment.
Yes.
Okay, environment keyword or.
Yes, with the env keyword, we can pass that. But currently, one thing, the reality is we don't create Docker container directly in the real time. We will create the container by using Kubernetes. In the Kubernetes, there is a concept called config map and secret, which are used to supply environment properties for the containers. Okay.
Okay, got it, sir. And in Docker file, do you need to like maintain any indentations, sir, like spaces?
Yes, sir. So whenever you are using that keywords, right? Suppose if you don't give this spacing, then it can't understand that.
Okay, if I give like multiple spaces, so it won't run or it won't
That's
execute.
not an issue. Multiple not an issue. At least one minimum space that you need to maintain.
Okay. And sir, while running this Docker file, so can you take the backup of existing image, something like that?
That is where in the real time, we are going to use Nexus and JFrog to store our Docker images. In the AWS ECR service available, that is container registry. So you can store your images as a backup.
Okay. So same thing can we do by using Docker file, sir? It's not possible.
Not possible. Docker file just to create the image, not to maintain the backup of the image. Images backup, Docker Hub is there to store your images.
Okay. And one more thing, sir, instead of keeping like run kits, like it means different, it means multiple lines. So can we run the like all commands within means by using only one run command, like one keyword?
You can do that, but that's not recommended, sir. We need to maintain clearly. Somebody, whatever I'm writing to today, somebody should understand tomorrow, right? So I'm not going to work in the same company for lifetime.
Okay. Okay. Got it, sir.
How many Docker files you can? How many Docker files you can write
for every project? Only one Docker file, sir. One project, one Docker file.
And one more thing, sir. So it means, for example, we have the like different environments, right, sir? Like dev seat, production. Sometimes we need to like change the version of that. It means
Tag name,
technology.
tag name we can give. For every image, you can give version 1.0, version 2.0, something like that. You can give the tag names.
Okay, so based on the tag name, based on the environment, so we can change and we can
deploy that.
run. Okay, got it, sir. Yeah, thank you, sir.
So sir, like Nexus JFrog, like we will learn in Docker and separately we will learn it. Sir, Nexus JFrog.
That is separate, sir. It is not part of the Docker. So in the DevOps, right? Once all these three tools are completed, then we go for Sonar, Cube, Nexus, the remaining DevOps tools.
Okay. At last, we will learn it, right? Okay.
Okay, good. Thank you, guys. So with this, we got the main important concept in the Docker, that is how to write the Docker file, what are the keywords. And tomorrow we will see how to write the Docker file for Java projects and Python projects, different technologies, how to write the Docker file. Good. Thank you.
Suppose, sir, image or container is deleted by mistake, then what will happen, sir?
You can create what you can, if you have Docker file, if the image is deleted, no problem. You can create image again, just one command, Docker build.
So any impact in application, sir?
No, nothing.
Okay.
Sir, I have one more question. Like we have multiple Docker images sitting in Docker Hub. So how can we find a Docker file by connecting one of the images?
Sir, in the Docker Hub, right, when you click on the Docker image, now you will have a option called inspect option. There it will show you. But actually, whatever that you are writing as it is, it will not show you in the Docker Hub. It is going to encrypt your Docker file and it will show you that. So that's why in every project within the Git repository only, we will maintain the Docker files. From the Docker Hub, you can't see the complete content of that. You can't understand that.
Okay. So while inspecting only, we can find the instructions.
So
I mean,
generally,
the raw data.
in the real time, in the project code we will keep in the GitHub, right? In the project folder only Docker files will be available. We will write the file and we'll keep in the project folder only.
So any location are specific, sir, in like a Git repository?
In the project folder.
Yeah.
Project folder.
Like inside the resource, SRC main resource, or what?
Just direct root folder, sir. Direct root folder.
Root folder. In local, sir. Suppose a Spring Boot application is there, then
I will show you one of my GitHub repository.
Okay.
Yeah. So there is one Git repository available, Maven web app. 1 minute. This is my project repository, project folder. In that project folder only, like this, you will keep the Docker file. That's
okay. Okay.
And if I show you another project. Spring Boot Docker, Angular Docker application, Spring Boot Docker application is available. In the project directory, we will keep the Docker file. In the project directory, we will keep the Docker file.
Sir, once the Docker file is created and we are running that container, then we cannot edit the instructions in the Docker file, right, sir?
if you want, you can edit the file and you can recreate the new image, right? It is just a file. Whenever you want, you can edit the file. When you edit the file, you create the new image.
We have to tag the version, right?
When you create the new image, you stop the old container and create the new container. It's a image creation, containers creation. It is a daily routine task for us.
But if one image is already like we are creating one image and container will run, right? Then if we are changing that, then container will stop at all existing.
Container will not be affected, sir. Once the container is created, you can't delete the image when the container is running. That is first thing. Okay. Even if you delete also, container will not be affected. Container is independent. Image is independent. With that image, container process already started. Okay. If you change the Docker file, container will not be affected. Image will not be affected. When you want to update your something in the project, when you want to update something in the Docker file, you modify and you create a new image. With the new image, you create the new container. That is a deployment regular process. So yesterday, whatever the code done by developers, I deployed. Today they have done the code changes. Then I need to recreate the new image and I need to recreate the new container. That is a regular process. Every day deployment will happen. Every day changes will happen. Whenever code change happen, we need to create the new Docker image. With that new Docker image, we need to create the new container. That is a regular activity.
Sir, tomorrow also should I join with the same link, sir?
Tomorrow link will be changed. I will update in the portal. Today, actually, I got late to change the link. I will change the link and I will update in the portal. You don't need to register every day.
Portal, I am not sure, sir, because I have done the payment through the WhatsApp with whom I have connected.
Okay, yeah, you will get the details. You send the email for that. You can access. Tomorrow link will be changed. You will get the update.
Same thing. Like I also can log in the website. Yesterday you showed the process, right? I logged in the website. There I clicked on the link and I joined.
Yes, sir. You can do that, sir. You can
Same thing. And please update the latest materials there.
Sure, sir. Definitely.
Yeah. Thank you.
Sir, tomorrow at what time?
Docker file creation one-time activity, sir, or
it is one time. It is one-time activity, sir.
Sir, tomorrow's class time, sir.
Tomorrow same time, sir. 8 p.m.
Okay. Could you please upload the Docker videos, sir?
Sure, sir.
As early as possible.
Notes already uploaded. Video I'm going to upload.
Please, sir. Please.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Sir, can I share my screen? Because I have
I will connect with you separately.
Sure, sir. Sure.